Always remember this. Everything that you do every day, as you do it, your mind makes a connection. It makes a connection between what you see, what you experience, how you react to it, even if you've reacted to it the same way for 20 years, okay? Picture that you have an external event of some kind, result, circumstance, environment. Remember, environments, people, places, and things. It registers through your senses in your brain, and then when you react to it, it's like it creates another wire that goes from that event to your reaction. From your reaction, your emotional reaction I'm talking about now, from your emotional reaction to your behavior, from your behavior to its outcome, and the outcome back to the reaction in your mind. It's like doot, 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 doot. Okay? One little wire every single time. Now think about this. With every experience, understand just how profound this is. The more experiences that you give yourself in the new direction of what you're doing, the more you establish those connections moving forward, the more you recognize the path and the tools. When you don't, when you go back to old behavior, when you go back to old situations, when you react the way that you used to react, you just make those stronger, and not in a good way. Because what does that have you do? It has you recognize the opposite, because you're more in the dark. You don't see the way forward. You don't see the tools as tools. You see them as things that you can't do. So you virtually see the opposite. Now I'm talking about this one specifically. I shared this, by the way, with the first Principia group this weekend. We had just an amazing couple of days together. It was just so transformative. It was unreal. We were talking about the opportunity to put yourself in positions of new experiences. That's your choice, right? To put yourself in positions of new experiences all the time, every day. Even if, so let's say you've had the same office for 10 years. I had an office for 10 years. You go into that office, it looks the same, the people are the same, but how you behave is different. You'll rewire the experience. If I show up with a great attitude and my attitude sucked before, I rewire the experience. When I rewire the experience, I see things differently. So attitude is everything, everything. Because most of us on a daily basis are going to be in the same typical environments that we've always been in, right? Your house, your office, you go to the same grocery store, the same gas station, the same doctor. Like those things are standard. However, as things come into your life, you have the ability to make different choices. So there's two ways that you can begin to change this wiring. One is definitely by making other choices. You're going to go do things that give you an opportunity to change your experience. That's like the time Proctor beat me up over, like I had just gone to a Science of Getting Rich seminar and I wasn't going to go the next weekend. He said, you said you were going to come to everything. I'm like, I've been to 4. He said, so you're predetermining you're not going to get anything from it. Is that right? I didn't know this law or this rule, so to speak, or even, you could even call it an operation. I didn't know that by every time I changed it, every time I got out of my environment, put myself in a different environment, I was wiring my mind. I was expanding my perception. It's 100% required in order to get where you want to go. Your mind needs to be able to find these things to get there. Keeping in mind, the number one law is that everything's already here. It's already here, right? So in a way, you could look at it like a fun video game if you wanted to, right? You're on a trek, and your job is to find all the little pots of gold all the way, but they're already here. You could sit in the corner and say, I'm not going to do it. Okay, stay where you are. But once you set the goal, and you've all set the goal, opportunities show up. This is the next stage of changing your perception. Now, what kicks in here is attitude. It's attitude. Opportunities are always going to be inconvenient, folks. Your success is inconvenient, let's put it that way. And not from a negative standpoint, from a reality standpoint. Your 24 hours is just as taken up as mine. If I set a new goal, I automatically have to readjust my 24 hours to make room for the things to accommodate the goal, or I don't get the goal. That's the same rule for every human being on the planet, by the way, because we're all in the same 24-hour bubble. So you have to know that as an absolute, right? It's that old law of sacrifice that I talked about way back. When you're going to gain something of a higher nature, you have to let go of something of a lower nature. That could be attitudinal, that could be physical, right? That could be geographical, like where you are. It could affect anything in your life. It could be people, all different kinds of things. I want to see pathways and tools. Pathways and tools are there. You wake up today, you have a big goal, and immediately you get to work and you find out that there's a big problem that's going to cost you money. If your attitude goes, son of a bitch, this sucks. Where am I going to come up with the money for that? How am I going to pay for this? Now what are we going to do? You're going down the wrong pathway. What you're not noticing is that it's an opportunity. You're looking at it in hindsight, the way that you would look at a problem before you decided to change. Right? That's the way middle-class problem first thinkers look at every problem. This freaking sucks, life sucks, I can't believe this, another thing. And then they get that experience because that's their perception only sees everything that sucks. But when the change happens, it's necessary for the next step to the goal. It's a necessary piece. It's a necessary pot of gold. You got to pick it up. You won't necessarily know why it's good in the beginning. But you can control your attitude about it. And you could say to everything, this is good. God is good all the time. Everything that's happening in my life is good. I don't know why. I don't know why my cat got hit by a car. I don't know why an employee stole money from me. I don't know why my uncle robbed a bank or is a drug addict or my mother puts me down. I don't know why, but it's an essential piece of the puzzle. That's all you need to know. One of the things about awareness that I have found to be true is that very often, like the good that is in the thing that you perceive bad, you probably won't know right up front. But as you grow through it and you become aware, you'll see it on the other side, right? I think that's kind of in correlation with Steve Jobs' idea that you can't connect the dots going forward, but you can connect them in reverse. You won't know till you get to the other side how it was good. But then one day you'll see it and you'll be like, oh, if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't have done this. And then I wouldn't have met this person. And they wouldn't have introduced me to this, which gave me the financing or gave me the sales or gave me the client or whatever, right? We don't know. But we have to take it in faith. That's where faith comes in. So everything that I say that I'm going to do is wiring my brain either in the direction that I want to recognize or something that resembles the past, which is what we don't want. We want to keep it moving forward. People didn't used to say what I'm about to tell you, but I think because personal professional development became so much more commonplace, you hear real successful people say this. I learned to start saying yes. I didn't know why. I learned to start saying yes. You write your goal down every day, 15, 20 times a day. You write that goal down. You look at it, you read it, you see it in your mind, and then you move on and you say yes. You're telling your mind what to perceive in your future as you move through it. Now, you can't control that, but it will manifest in the way that you're going. What you can control all the time is your attitude. That you can control. Remember, Earl Nightingale said attitude was the magic word because it changes your perception as you go through something. If you react negatively to something, it's only because somebody told you, hey, this is how you're supposed to respond to this. If you grew up as a kid and your parents knew this and they taught you to see everything that went wrong and every obstacle as some amazing door that was opening to your future, you wouldn't react negatively to anything because that's the way that your mind would have been wired since you were a kid. It also allows you to meet the right people, but pathways and tools. So think about what tools do you need moving forward. You need tools that build skill sets, that run systems, and that produce results. That's what you need tools for. So the best that you can be in any situation, right on. Keep learning, keep growing, keep moving into it. Don't think why, don't think how, just move forward. The tools, like the pathway reveals the tools open the next pathway. Think about it that way. The pathway reveals the tools, right? You're walking in the video game and you got an axe and a bow and arrow and a flamethrower and a sword and a pot of gold and a healing remedy. Like, what is that doing? It's preparing you for the next screen as it unfolds. You're going to need it. You don't know why you're going to need it, but you're going to need it. So you take it in, you do it, you become it, and it opens up the next pathway, and then the next set of tools shows up every time. It needs to be fun and it needs to be easy. What are we doing? We're telling our mind what to look for on the pathway. Otherwise, you can just as easily create things to do, say systems maybe, that are a pain in the ass. And they're very difficult. Now, that would align with an old pattern of making it hard because hard work is the ethic and you're internally relating to the idea of hard work. But we don't want to do that. We want to work diligently, yes, right? Easy doesn't mean lazy, remember, but it should be easy and it should be fun. Whether something's easy or not is really about the story that you're telling yourself in your head while you're doing the thing, isn't it? If you're like, this is hard, why isn't this working? How come this piece doesn't fit in there? Like, then it's hard. If you say it's easy, you're commanding the pathway to become easy. That's the power that you have. That's an awesome power. Every time you go into something, this is going to be easy, this is going to be fun, and you're worth it. You're so worth it. Don't suffer, don't struggle. Make it easy, make it fun. Remember, pathways and tools. What is before you is for you, okay?